So the pashta again always comes at the end of the word. So it comes on the last syllable. If the last syllable is not the accented syllable in the word, then we have a second pashta that is put onto the accented syllable, and the text that's written here does not have the second pashta in it. There should be another pashta, an equivalent mark that's on the chet on top of the zayin. So that's why we're saying shnei pashtaot, that it's a doubled note. We see the pashta twice. So again, we go to number 13. Sorry?
Should be on the zayin?
On the zayin and on the chet. So there's two over
right.
there. So Avram is willing to make any sacrifice, and we see from small to big. So we're going from a zayin to a chet, from a smaller to a bigger. It doesn't matter the size of the sacrifice that needs to be made. Avram is willing to go incrementally more. Lashem, for God, with a katon. This is a two-part note. Number 14. He was willing to accept all hardships and suffering for God, glorify His name as the King of the universe, as signified by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So Avram is willing to accept the subservient, the lower position, and any hardship that came with that, for the glory of God, who occupies the higher position. Hence we have the two-part note. Vayikra, and he called with a tipcha, so this is going to focus us backwards and pause slightly afterwards. Number 15. The reason for the first altar was thanksgiving for an obvious event, Hanireh, and he called the second altar with the respect to the future of an undisclosed nature, Nistar, as referred backwards by the directional shape of the reading mark. So the first mizbeach, the first aspect of being thankful was for an obvious gift. The second mizbeach is for those things that he sees that are hidden, but he feels are likely to come. So he draws backwards towards the concept of mizbeach, but we have to pause afterwards because what we're going to get is still hidden from us. But Avram has trust that it will be still from the merciful aspect from Hashem, and has faith that that's the way that it's going to continue. B'Shem, by name, with a mercha. This is lightly connected to what was before, but mostly moving forward to what's going to go afterwards. Avram was concerned at least about some of his children who shall not be eradicated by name, despite the expected tragedies as portrayed by the directional shape of the reading mark. So here we have yet again expressed the concept that what the Avot are going to do, and when they approach any place in the land of Israel, it is with forethought of what the people of Israel will eventually experience or have happened to them in that physical location. So Avram again is taking that hidden blessing and hoping that it will come forward, despite the fact that he knows that a variety of places will have influences on future events that will not be as glorious. Hashem, number 17, of God, with the stabilizing sof pasuk. They shall exist eternally because their own name comprises the letter of God. His children too shall not be limited by time. Netzach Yisrael, the victory of the people of Israel,
The eternal.
I'm sorry, the eternity of the people of Israel. So the idea of God being unlimited, and therefore what the people of Israel will have will be unlimited in terms of time. This was Avram's prayer connected with this, with the second altar. So by using God's name, he is connecting characteristics of God's name with what his children should inherit and reap. And that is, again, the focus of the second altar, to see things that are hidden and to try to impose ongoing blessing on those things.
Sorry, I'm not sure I'm clear on how the children's name comprises the letters of God, or is... I'm not sure about what 16 and 17 are trying to say.
So what 16 is trying to say is, despite the bad things that might happen, they will all the bad things will be in God's name and will still have goodness to them. And what 17 is trying to say is, the hope is that features that are connected with God's name will be features that will be connected with Avram's children. So as we read through, perhaps the most striking element is going to be the Kadma v'Yazla at the beginning of the sentence. So we're going to see the elevation in terms of going somewhere and gaining elevation. And on the mountain, you're going to have almost a meditative feel to the concept of being there. And we're going to separate out Kedem, the way that it was before, from Beit El, the way that it's going to be afterwards. Avram's tent is going to be the stabilizing factor in the middle of all of this. It doesn't matter if it's Beit El or Ai; those things are going to be connected. The altar is going to be something that is going to take this concept that Avram has learned in his meditation and turn it into a prayer for his children in the future. And again, we're going to see the spacing of the words telling us some of those things that I just mentioned. Take misham hahara mikedem levetel vayet aholo Beitel miyam v'hai mikedem vayiven sham mizbeach l'Hashem vayikra b'shem Hashem. And we're continuing on. We are on page 12 of Breshit Yudbeit Pasuk Tet of Genesis 12 verse 9. Vayisa with a munach, so this is going to separate us out from what was before and move us to what's going to go afterwards. And he migrated. Number one, Avram propagated his teaching about God and interhuman relations, and he migrated through various districts where he made many stopovers, as indicated by the shape of the reading mark. So he is going to leave one area and go to another area. So again, we have that separation that is defined by the Menach, Avram, with the two-part note with the Katon. Just a pause afterward. Just as Avram was not discouraged by difficulties and failures, he was not satisfied with initial or partial successes, as pointed out by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So Avram really holds himself to the highest standard that he can, and Anything that's lower he tries to discard. Haloch, with a mercha, walking. This is lightly connected to what's come from before, but mostly moving forward to what's going to go afterwards. By walking among people and mixing with them, he learned their qualities, attitudes, and mental tendencies, as shown by the directional shape of the reading mark. So he's going to be lightly connected to those who he passes by, but mostly he's going to sweep them forward with him. V'nasoa, with a tipcha. This is a backwards focusing note, which is going to pause afterwards. Avram was walking and traveling in the countryside, and he observed the beautiful garden districts of the surroundings as stressed by the closing shape of the directional reading mark. I'm not quite sure where we get the concept of garden neighborhoods from this word or from this note. Nonetheless, we certainly see a difference in halach, things that where he's influenced by the people, the nasoa, things where he's influenced by the surroundings. Hanegba, towards the Negev, with the stabilizing sof pasuk. Number 5, for all those rich and lucrative places, he moved towards the negative southwards, which represented only a hilly desert, even though there were green blooming valleys on the east, west, and north sides.
Yeah, if you read the remark after, it says...
So we'll continue with the remark. After Avram left fertile Mesopotamia, passing through various business and cultural centers, the rich green districts of Canaan, he finally chose his domicile in the desert of the Negev, where he saw only bare hills. Wasn't that peculiar logic, or was Avram a real nomad? It indicates that Avram gave up all material conveniences for a spiritual life. The main attraction of the mountainous desert of the Negev was its central position between the two other significant deserts. To the south was the desert of the Mount Sinai, where the Torah was to be received. To the north was the desert of the Judean hills, with the Mount Moriah, where the law was applied, Sion. The Negev was therefore a link between the two other deserts, which influenced Avram simultaneously from opposite directions. So both revelation and physical manifestation of the nation are going, and physical connection of the nation to the spiritual in both an unconnected sense, a virgin sense, and a mature sense, and that is what is attracting Avram rather than physical surroundings. So he's I'll say he's becoming ascetic. He's not forsaking worldly pleasures. He is going to bring those things with him, but use them for their spiritual purpose, not their physical purpose. And he is going to specifically choose a surrounding, a setting where it will be known that anything that he uses has to have a purpose, because he has to bring it from somewhere else in order to use it. So if he feels that it's important, he has to attach an importance to it in order to bring it to himself and to use it there. The people of Israel are praised by God because of Lech Lecha Oct, you walked after me in the desert, be'eretz lo zrua, in a land that had not been planted, not been seeded. So you get the concept of if you're willing to follow things that are spiritual, even when all of the other needs are so desperate, there really is nothing else around, then it must have importance to you. Because otherwise you would leave that place and you would go to a place where there were more physical comforts and more physical luxuries. So we're going to see that the journey of Avram is going to be going back and forth, but finally he's going to reach a sense of stability in this in the poor surroundings of the Negev.
I wonder if all of this describes this moment of revelation and his subsequent commitment to God and his subsequent evolution into somebody who is going to make his life a Kiddush Hashem, a Mizbeach. His whole life is a Mizbeach to Hashem. So if we look back at Pasuk Zion, when Hashem, Vayera Hashem el Abraham, and then Vayiven Shem Mizbeach Hashem Hanira Alav. So just to say it again, or reiterate that Hashem appeared to him, and he received the revelation as a worthy vessel and as a sentient vessel, and his response was to build a mizbeach, to build a place of sacrifice. So I think even one of the comments in the Sefer was that he specifically chose not to build, something decorative or whatever, but rather a place of sacrifice. And then that would be his testament to his commitment to his God. And then later, when it says Vayatek Misham Hahara, again he goes back to the atikut, the basic truths that are Hashem's truths from Mikedem, from the primeval times, primordial times. And he contemplates them and he brings them Hahara towards, I think, maybe not the end of days, but maybe Har Sinai, maybe the culmination of God giving the Torah and his ultimate truth to mankind. Mikedem Leveit El, again, Mimekedem, from the time of old, Leveit El, to the house of God, again, to the Beis HaMikdash. So Hahara is Beis HaMikdash, Har Moriah, and Beit El is the house of God, the Beis HaMikdash. And that Maaseh Avot Siman Mabanim, this is where the moment where we learn that in order to fulfill our part of this covenant, we make our lives a mizbeach. We project our thoughts towards a Beis HaMikdash and making our homes and our planet a Beis HaMikdash, all the aspects of our lives a Beis HaMikdash. And here it says in the alternative comment that Avram eschewed, as you say, the beautiful and decorative and comfortable surroundings, and went to a very stark surrounding, but that had important spiritual significance, because it bridged the place between Moriah and, what was the other place? Moriah and Sion. Right. So again, the two places where his children, his descendants, will be also offering themselves and their lives and their viewpoint and their understanding of legacy to be servants of God. So I wonder if this is it describes that moment of receipt of the gift and its birth, its rebirth in mankind.
And it's reflection upon by Avram, and ultimately it's his way that he wants to express it and give it over.
Yeah, and create the legacy.
So he moves from the concept of go because God is telling you to go, to the concept of realizing that God really wants you to see the spiritual in the world and to take the meagerest of things in the world, but to make sure that you recognize the importance of them. And he finds a way to physically express that by locating himself in a place where he will be amongst the meagerest and be able to find expression and holiness even in a place that seems to be devoid of everything that's necessary for life.
Mhm.
Now we will read the pasuk out loud. Vayisa Avram haloch v'nasoa hanegba. Again, the striking thing is the way that hanegba towards the Negev really stands separated from everything else. Avram is contemplating, and he's going amongst other people, and finally that place appeals to him because of its spiritual expression rather than because of its physical expression. And I think that is where we will end for the evening. I'll close the tape.